hangar at the airport and to some of the planes. Thank you for joining us. Suzanne Leonard and the team here. Wind gusts near 100 kilometers an hour on Monday, along with the record highs. Yeah, it was 45 degrees colder in Yellowknife compared to Ottawa on Monday. Record high followed by some Arctic cold. High pressure settling in, so the lake effect snow winding down on Wednesday, just as the alpine snow really picks up in BC. Get to British Columbia in just a second. We've got some warnings in many parts of the country, not for Ontario. A couple scattered flurries still possible in Barrie earlier in the day, but a mix of sun and cloud. I know it's a little cool. It's a couple of degrees colder than normal for this time of year, but a bit of a break. And a look ahead, we've got a weak low coming out of the prairie provinces. Blue areas are showing you snowfall. That's a little light snow in northern Ontario, pushing towards southern Ontario Thursday afternoon, evening, and crossing Lake Ontario for Friday morning. Off to the east, a far bigger storm having a big impact south of the border, a nor'easter. Busy travel day before U.S. Thanksgiving, and that's snow and rain and some wind for the Maritimes. Worsening conditions for Wednesday. 60 millimeters of rain around the lower Fraser, around Metro Vancouver. There are some rainfall warnings in place for the south coast. There's heavy snow coming as well for the coastal range and the interior, and that's worsening weather during the day. Heavy snow, winter driving conditions along Highway 1, Highway 3, and the avalanche risk is going up. So drive safe. By the end of the week, with all this abundant Arctic air east of the Rockies, we're going to see some of that flowing across BC, what we call an Arctic outflow pattern. I'm sorry to break it to you. You know what those words mean. And we'll see temperatures highs near zero for Vancouver. Now, we've had a lot of cold air in Ontario. We're going to talk about the Arctic air, how it'll affect the Great Lakes, how much snow we're getting in BC, though, Wednesday. That's over 50 centimeters possible for parts of the coastal range. The avalanche risk, as you would guess, is going up. The Alberta and BC Rockies are getting significant snow, especially later in the day and through Thursday. Poor travel conditions over in Alberta. And look at the risk of avalanches up to high in the Kootenays, Columbia's, and in the Caribou. Rainfall warnings around the south coast, and that's up to or in excess of 60 millimeters in a few spots, and that's part of the stormy pattern. Big trough in the jet stream extending down towards the tropical mid-latitudes, or more tropical, more southerly latitudes of the Pacific Ocean. So it's just one after another. Cold Arctic air flooding south. You put the two together and you've got the setup for snow. Colder air in Ontario. We've had a little bit of light lake effect snow Tuesday night, early Wednesday. It'll be petering out. So snow squall watches and any remaining warnings will be coming to an end. A little bit chilly to start the day, though, on Wednesday. 0 to -2, Toronto through Barrie. And in the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud. And I want to show you a couple of things. We've got your long ranger coming up in a moment, but look at the temperatures. They rise for Toronto, they're dropping for Vancouver, and they're plummeting for Edmonton. Felt like it was a little ahead of schedule. Canada's biggest city, City of Toronto, Nathan Phillips Square. Beautiful spot, by the way, if you're visiting Toronto anytime this winter. Good to see you. British Columbia getting ready for some big cold in the long range. Cold Arctic air has been flooding across the prairies. You see these purples where temperatures are in the minus teens, and that cold air is sinking in. There's a weak trough of low pressure that will move south Thursday with some light snow. Wake up temperatures and wind chills. Yeah, 0, feeling colder. Wednesday afternoon, mix of sun and cloud, not feeling too bad. There are some stormy conditions Wednesday for the west coast and the east coast. There's just a weak little trough of low pressure, bringing some increasing cloud, some scattered flurries, and helping to keep this below seasonal temperature pattern in place. Worst storm perhaps of the week coming tomorrow. We have the right setup to bring in abundant moisture from the more tropical latitudes of the Pacific. So we've got 45 to 60 millimeters of rain for the lower Fraser and around Metro Vancouver. The Sunshine Coast also very soggy on Wednesday. So we've got a couple of rainfall warnings for the south coast. Coastal range, 25 to 50 plus centimeters of snow, and very poor conditions developing in the eastern regions of BC late Wednesday, and Calgary, and then up to Edmonton. Poor travel. Canada's foremost climatologist, David Phillips, along with our East Coast reporter. It's always great and very helpful to get that perspective. These winds, I can tell you, living in the Greater Toronto area, they kept me and a lot of people up late and woke us up in the middle of the night, too. Very, very strong gusts. Wednesday morning temperatures, as we look ahead, a little sub-zero and then a little above zero, and not a lot in the way of snowfall. We've had some flurries around Georgian Bay. There's a weak trough moving into the north Wednesday, the south late Thursday, so there will be a little bit of snow coming. Deep trough in the jet stream, that's a great setup, very favorable one for a big storm for the East Coast and for the West Coast. And for other areas of the country, British Columbia, very, very rainy, 60 millimeters for the South Coast possible, and snowfall, rainfall warnings, heavy snow for the coastal range and poor travel in the interior. Developing Wednesday, far colder by Saturday. Just above zero by then. Never been, hope to make it to the far north one day. Certainly I can tell you about it, and I can tell you all about your weather as we check out the national forecast. Suzanne Leonard and the team here. Gary Archibald with the Weather Network in the afternoons now, and Nicole Karkic in the morning. So still part of the big team. And watch for them. But right now, with you here, we're going to talk about this massive plume of moisture coming in off the Pacific, some really heavy rain and lots of snow, too, and a developing nor'easter for the Atlantic seaboard. Wednesday is arguably the busiest travel day of the year, south of the border, the day before U.S. Thanksgiving. The impact here, well, it will help to draw the colder air across Ontario and Quebec and then push into mainly our Atlantic provinces with rain and snow. Plenty of it for Moncton, for Charlottetown, 30 centimeters. Could be double that for parts of British Columbia, with Wednesday, late day, the heaviest impact through the interior. 10 centimeters of snow for Calgary, around 20 for Edmonton for Thursday. As a new low takes shape, all the isobars, the more there are, the stronger the west of the country. Vancouver's drying out but cooling down towards Saturday, +1. Calgary, the snow I mentioned, and -15 by the weekend. That's about 15 below average. Winnipeg staying on the cold side, and Toronto actually warms up going into the weekend. Well, we'll take a trip around the world with Kim McDonald again in just a moment.